The valley always had a strange kind of silence, not the peaceful kind, the holding its breath kind. And the day I returned to my old mountain cabin, after 10 years, that silence turned into something else entirely. Because the moment my tires touched the dirt road leading to my land, a woman in a neon HOA vest came storming out of her SUV like she'd been waiting her whole life to start a fight. Her name Karen, and apparently she had crowned herself sheriff, judge, and land protector of the entire valley. She slapped her clipboard against my window, screaming that I was trespassing, that the valley was now regulated property under her homeowners association. But she had no idea who I was. No idea what this cabin meant. No idea what was written in the deed buried in my glove compartment. And certainly no idea that I didn't just own the cabin. I owned the entire valley, and at the end, stay with me, I'm going to tell you something important that you need to hear. The story when I stepped out of my truck. Karen puffed up like she was about to write me into history books. She jabbed her finger toward my cabin, the same cabin my grandfather built with his own hands. This structure violates HOA roofing standards, color codes, and porch regulations, she barked. And you cannot access HOA land without board approval. I almost laughed, but instead I let her talk. Behind her, I saw the changes, new homes, fresh concrete driveways, street signs that didn't belong. Even a tennis court carved into what once was open grazing land. They had built all of this while I was away. On my land, without asking, without permission, but Karen wasn't done. She demanded my name, my ID, my visitor paperwork. I told her I didn't need paperwork to walk on my own soil. She smirked. You think this is your land? Sweetheart, you're in my valley now. My patience evaporated. I walked back to my truck, opened the glove compartment, and pulled out the worn leather folder my grandfather left me in his will. Inside it, the original ownership deed from the 1930s. When I unfolded it, the wind seemed to stop. Even the trees leaned in to listen. I handed it to her. She snatched it like she expected to destroy my whole argument in one glance. But then her face changed, the color drained, her hands shook. The paper fluttered as she tried to steady it. This can't be right," she whispered. "It is," I said. "That cabin, that field, that forest, everything from ridge to ridge. My family has owned this valley for nearly a century." Karen staggered back. "You don't understand. We've already sold lots, built homes, assigned HOA dues. We've built illegally." I finished for her. "On private land." She tried to argue, but panic twisted her voice into knots. That's when the HOA board pulled up. 4 members in matching blue polos, acting like they were about to rescue the queen of the valley. Instead, when they saw the deed, their smiles cracked, their confidence melted, their future lawsuits stared them in the face. For years they had claimed this land was unclaimed forest property. For years they had collected dues, approved construction, enforced rules on land they didn't own. The board president stepped forward, sweating in the mountain sun. "There must be a misunderstanding," he said carefully. "There isn't," I replied. "You built an entire HOA community inside private property lines, my property lines." Their voices overlapped, excuses, apologies, threats, bargaining, but I'd spent years planning this moment. I gave them 2 options. Option 1, vacate the valley, dismantle all HOA operations, and compensate me for land use. Option 2, we settle it in court where they would answer for every house, every fee, every trespass, every regulation they tried to force on me. Karen screamed that I couldn't do this, that I was ruining a community. But the truth was simple. They built a kingdom on stolen land, and they expected the real owner to stay gone forever. The sun dipped behind the mountains as I looked out across the valley, my valley, the one my grandfather protected, the one they tried to rewrite, and for the first time in years I felt him there, like the land itself whispered, "Welcome home." Karen's voice echoed through the valley as the HOA board huddled behind her, whispering frantically. But something had already shifted. The land knew they knew, and deep down she knew too. The board president swallowed hard. "Maybe we can reach an arrangement," he began, choosing his words like stepping stones across a river of consequences. But I'd waited 10 long years, and during that time, I learned something my grandfather always believed. Land remembers its guardian. I wasn't here to fight. I wasn't here to punish. I was here to reclaim what always belonged to my family. I walked toward the edge of the valley, where the ridgeline cut across the horizon. The same view my grandfather showed me when I was a boy, the same place where he told me stories about our people, our history, our legacy. Behind me, voices rose again. Karen was panicking. For the first time, she had no rule, no regulation, no laminated HOA booklet to shield her. "You can't just take everything back," she shouted. "This is a community. We built a life here." I turned slowly. "You built a life," I said quietly, "but not on your land." Her face twisted with fear and pride, a dangerous combination. She stormed toward me, holding the deed like it was a weapon she could snap in half if she tried hard enough. "You're lying," she hissed. "You forged this. It has to be fake. The county would have told us, the state would have told us, someone would have told us, but the truth didn't bend for her." "It's real," I said, "and you know it." The wind rolled through the valley, bending the dry grass. Even the mountains seemed to hold their breath. The HOA board finally stepped in, trying to pull her away, but Karen jerked her arm free. "You don't deserve this land," she cried. "You weren't here, we were. We made it better." There it was. Not just entitlement, but the belief that claiming something loudly enough rewrites history. I opened my truck door, reached inside, and pulled out the second item my grandfather left me. A small wooden box with carved initials. Inside it was a hand-drawn map, old, brittle, faded, showing the valley boundaries exactly as they were in the deed. I unfolded it in front of them before the county existed. I said softly, "Before your HOA was even a thought, this land was already ours. My grandfather protected it. My father protected it. And now I'm here to do the same." The board president's shoulders fell. He understood. Karen did not. "We can fix this," he pleaded. "We can negotiate. We can pay you. Just don't evict all these families." I looked past them at the rows of houses stretching across the valley, families, children, leaves that grew in soil they never knew was someone else's. And in that moment, justice and compassion wrestled inside me. My grandfather would have said, "Land isn't just earth, it's people." I folded the map. "I won't evict anyone," I said. Relief washed over the board like a tidal wave. "But the HOA," I continued. "That ends today." Karen stumbled back. "What? You can't do that." "I can," I said, "and I am." I handed the board a simple written order, all HOA authority dissolved. All dues stopped, all fines erased, all construction halted until legal surveys matched the original deed. All remaining land protected permanently as a conservation area. A valley restored, not ruled, not exploited, but respected. Karen collapsed into the dirt, clutching the clipboard that once made her queen. "This is my community," she whispered. "No," I replied gently. "It was never yours to control." The sun dipped low, turning the valley gold. The same gold I remembered from childhood. The same gold my grandfather told me to protect. And as I stood there, the wind carried a familiar warmth, like a hand on my shoulder. Home, finally home,